It was the perfect house, in the perfect neighborhood. But inside, a silence was growing, a silence that would last for nearly a month before the world realized the horror within. John List was a man of routine, a man of God, and a man of secrets. To his neighbors in Westfield, New Jersey, he was the pillar of a perfect American family. But under the surface, the foundations were crumbling. Debts were mounting, and John's grip on reality was slipping into a dark religious obsession. He believed he was saving them. He believed that by ending their lives on earth, he was ensuring their place in heaven. And so, he began to plan. November 9th, 1971, a Tuesday like any other. John drove his children to school, kissed his wife, and then he returned home to wait. One by one, he methodically executed his plan. First his wife, then his mother. He waited for his children to come home from school, greeting them not with a hug, but with a cold barrel. He dragged their bodies into the grand ballroom, laying them out on sleeping bags, side by side. He even made them lunch before he finished the job. A final macabre act of care. He left a 5-page confession to his pastor, explaining his mercy killings. Then he cleaned the house, turned on the lights, and cut himself out of every family photo. By the time the police broke down the door 18 days later, the music was still playing in the empty house. But John List was gone. He had vanished into thin air. The FBI launched one of the most extensive manhunts in history. They tracked leads across the country, but every trail went cold. It was as if John List had never existed. Years turned into decades. The Westfield mansion became a ghost story, a place of local legend. The family annihilator had beaten the system, or so he thought. Thousands of miles away in Colorado, a man named Robert Clark was living a quiet life. He had a new wife, a new job as an accountant, and a new church. He was the perfect neighbor once again. May 1989. The TV show America's Most Wanted decided to feature the case. They hired a forensic sculptor to imagine what John List would look like after 18 years. The sculptor added a pair of distinctive glasses, similar to those John had worn in 1971. The likeness was uncanny. It was a face that someone, somewhere, was bound to recognize. The broadcast hadn't even finished when the phone lines lit up. A woman in Colorado was staring at the screen, then at her neighbor's house. "That's him," she whispered. "That's Bob Clark." The FBI moved in. When they confronted Robert Clark, he denied everything. But the fingerprints didn't lie. The ghost of John List had finally been caught. In 1990, John List stood trial. He showed no remorse, sticking to his story that he had saved his family from a world of sin. The jury wasn't convinced. 5 life sentences. The List house eventually burned down under mysterious circumstances, but the story of the family annihilator remains one of the darkest chapters in true crime history. How well do you really know your neighbor? Sometimes the most terrifying monsters are the ones who look the most ordinary. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more dark stories.